G'day guys, Matt here from Not in the Manual. I just want to run through the latest update in the car that came through for me last night, and it is software update 2023 26.7. Now I've been waiting a while for this one because it has the big Spotify refresh. I haven't been as impressed with that as I don't think it's really worth the wait at the moment, but we'll have a look at what the changes are there. We'll have a quick look at the changes there, but there's a few other things to go through here that I feel are a bit more important. So let's just start by looking at the release notes. So the release notes are now built into the owner's manual app. Now this car being MCU 2, I think, it has the Intel Atom processor. So it doesn't have the Ryzen chip, which I'll be getting in my new Model Y. But basically you go to your app drawer, and this car now has a manual app icon. So we can click on that, and then at the top here now you can see release notes. So we can have a look here at the release notes for the software update. So we jumped into this one at 0.7, but we need to go back here to 2023.26. So we have the Spotify refresh. We have the destination closing soon. Navigation now shows if your destination is closing soon, or they may be closed by the time you arrive. So yeah, this is something that really you'll notice is in the normal Google Maps. On your phone, if you're navigating somewhere and using that, it will tell you if your destination is closing soon. So it's really just adding that normal Google feature to the Tesla in-car navigation. Bluetooth game controllers. You can now pair a Bluetooth game controller with the car. So you no longer need to plug into the data port in the car with the controller. You can just pair it Bluetooth. So I've done that. I've got just a cheapo extra control pad here that I bought for our Nintendo Switch, so it works in this car. So I'll show you how to pair that a bit later. We have the camera view on the Tesla app. So in the Tesla app on your phone now, I'll overlay a demonstration of that. You can now have the little grid view, and you can see here on the illustration here in the release notes, you can view all the outside cameras here. So there are 4 cameras. You've got the rear camera, the left and the right repeater cameras, and then the front main camera. So you can view all them in a grid of 4 all together now, but the inside cabin camera needs to be viewed separately. So that's his little grid icon at the top here when you go into the live camera view in the phone app. Warmer display colors. Now I have the warmer display colors on here now. So you need to go into the settings menu and go to display, and you'll be able to turn the warmer colors on. It will automatically do that at night time. So this reduces, so it's similar to what you have, a feature you have on most of your phones now. Definitely my iPhone has this feature, just to reduce that blue light at night so you're not getting as tired. Other updates, there are a few here. Recent and favorites are now in separate tabs in the media player. So if we scroll up with the media player here, you can see recent and favorites are now separate. They used to be together in that thing here. So that's also a quick way if you weren't sure how to get to the settings for your audio, and you can search through the media player there as well. So sliders to adjust volume and the temperature change are supposed to be more precise. So if we click on here to adjust the temperature, we have the sliders here. Yeah, I don't know if that's more precise or not. I don't normally use the slider. I normally just punch that up or down, or use voice commands to set the temperature. So volume slider as well, if you were using the volume slider here, if you ever use your finger for that, I never ever do that. You can now adjust the slider, and it is a bit more precise. So there's another shortcut for the audio settings. You can go there as well. Sentry mode records if someone tries to open a door or trunk when the vehicle is locked. Sorry, I've just had some procedures done with my eyes, so I'm finding it a little bit hard to read tonight. Yeah, so basically before, if you have Sentry mode on, full Sentry mode, which uses the cameras, that would just look for movement. But if you have your car set to the mode where it doesn't use the cameras, it will now activate and record if it sees a door, someone attempt to open a door or the boot by pressing the button, and when they don't have a key nearby. So that's quite handy if someone's, if you don't want to have it on the more draining mode of sentry mode, and you just want to have it on the lesser energy drawing mode, then that will now record if someone tries to attempt to get into the car. So that's quite good. That's actually quite a big update there to actually have that set. Access to owner manual and release notes, access and more. We've already spoken about that. So the manual app is now a bit more accessible and the release notes are included within the manual app. Automatic navigation shows more details about your destination. So I will also have a look at that. I might just overlay some footage here as well that you can have a look at. It's just a matter of, when your car automatically navigates you for a calendar event or for your regular daily trip, if you have it set for automatic navigation, it will actually give you details about your destination automatically. It will show up there before it then proceeds to navigate and plan a route. And so, once again, availability varies by model and location. So I think there's probably some more things that my car doesn't have. There's supposed to be a new game. So if we go to, didn't click on the right one. If we go to arcade, I don't have this little vampire game they're talking about. I can only just see all the usual games here. I'm not too sure why, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be a game that's going to draw a lot of processing power. But anyway, I didn't get that, so we don't have that there. What do we want to have a look at? Let's have a look at Spotify. So Spotify here, it's going to take a while to load. So you can see the refresh hasn't really fixed anything here. So I may need to come back and have a look at this. Let's just go and have a look in display. And if we go here, you now have this option here for reducing blue light. So that's where you have that setting there. We turn it off, back on again. You might not be able to see that. The camera might be compensating for that, but that's, you can see it is nice sort of warmer tones, warmer colors here. I actually quite like, I'd probably like to just have that all the time. So that's that, where you go for that setting there. Now the other thing I wanted to show you is there are some changes in service mode. So I haven't really done a video on service mode yet. I want to do a full run through for service mode, and they just keep updating it. And so I've been waiting for it to stay the same for a while so I can give you guys a full rundown through it. But basically, if we go to software, hold your finger down on Model 3 for a while till it pulses like that. Type in service. You can do this anywhere now these days. Enable to go into service mode here. Now the climate turns off straight away. If you want the climate to keep active, you just need to press it again there manually. It'll come back on. So there's a few things here that are different, and I'm not going to go through everything, but we'll go through some of the changes. You now have safety and restraints here. We can look at the seats and you can see the occupancy sensors. So if we have a look at my seat here and I lift my butt off the seat, you can see it changes to unoccupied and then occupied. So you're checking those sensors, and you can also have a look at the seatbelt buckles, whether they're clipped in or not, but you get the idea there. So we have the restraint control module here, which talks to all the airbags and sensors in the seats. So if we go and have a look here as well, we've got the airbags. So this might look different in your car. So I have the seat airbags here. I have the control module here, the restraint control module. I have the steering wheel airbag, driver airbag. We have the passenger airbags here. So I didn't have it active. I've just put my foot on the brake. So now everything's lit up and lit up in green. So we've got those airbags there. And then we have the side curtain airbags here as well. So you can see their status is there's no faults found there. So this is a way of just checking the status of your airbags and the restraint control module. Okay, so that's all the airbags I've got in my car. So what else? Okay, Windows hasn't really changed that much. You can check the switches. Okay, that's changed. Okay, it checks the switches. Yeah, that's pretty good. So you can run around and just do a bit of diagnosis there. Okay, wiper replacement, I'm not sure. Imagine that just puts the wipers into service mode. I'm not going to touch anything here that I'm not sure what it's going to do. Let's look at the next one. Okay, this one is the steering control module. So we can test some functions here like the indicator stalks. I might just move that here out of the way. So you can see, you can just do the small press, or you can go even further. And you can see the two switches there in that indicator stalk. We can press the windscreen wiper on the back there. We can press it, you can see the different switch activation points, the single or the full press. We've got the high beams, or we can push forward on the stalk and do the front switch. So yeah, just testing all the switches there. We can do the up and down volume. You can see they're lighting up. We can go left or right there. Just turn the radio back on. We've got the right scroll wheel. You can see the arrows lighting up green there, or we can scroll up or down and have those switches work there as well. Or we can push in. Okay, same with the other side. You can hold the scroll wheel in. You can see that light up. Then we have the park brake switch here on the end, or we have the gear stalk light press or a heavy press on there. So yeah, checking that there. I won't bother pressing the horn because we can understand the gist of that. Okay, so there was that. Then we can look at steering. So this is giving you some torque readouts of the steering as I turn it there. If we want to adjust the steering column, so the little motors here for adjusting the steering wheel up and down to your custom setting, in and out and up and down, that's going to test those motors there, so we can have a look at that if we wanted to, or you can calibrate. So down here we're looking at, okay, it's not giving us anything there. So if you replace the steering rack, you can probably do a bit of an alignment here, service mode. I would highly recommend if you go into service mode here, don't really touch anything that says calibrate, unless it's maybe just the windows or something simple like that. If it's something you don't know what it's going to do, please don't touch it. I'll just sort of give you that bit of a warning there. So this here is just if you are doing an offset for your steering wheel. That's not something most people really need to touch. You can reset the learnt tyre miles here, but you can do that all within the normal thing here. I just recommend just not touching any of that. These are just some cool animations showing you what's going on with the steering wheel angle and the force that's being applied. And that's how it tells that you've got your hand on the wheel. You can see there just a tiny little wiggle. That's how sensitive it is. That's how it knows your hand's on there for autopilot, for the nag. We've got some things here with HVAC. That all looks like it's the same. It's showing you the flow of air. I can't see any changes there. Coolant system, that all looks pretty good. Once again, I said we'll do a full rundown of service mode. We're just having a quick flick through here to see if there's any changes. I noticed there was a difference here if you have HomeLink, or if you retrofit a HomeLink module to your car yourself, do it yourself, you can activate HomeLink there and get it to search for the module and activate it. Or this new screen here, we can look at the power distribution. So we have the vehicle control modules here. We have the vehicle control left, vehicle control right, and then we have here the vehicle control module front, and that does a lot of your low voltage things here for your low voltage battery. You can see here I have my low voltage battery, and it is a flooded battery, which means it's a lead acid style battery. It's not the lithium ion battery. So that's what's in my car here. So it's giving you just statuses there of the control modules. And so then we have the power control system in the back there as well. So that's coming from the back in the penthouse of the battery. That's all sitting up in there, up near the rear drive motor. I had a quick look through here. None of this looks like it's changed that much. There was nothing I could see there. The animations all look pretty much the same. Charging, interlocks, connectivity. This looks like it might have changed a little bit. You can see your primary and secondary antennas that sit up in the roof of the car. And we just have, yeah, it's all network. Your cell service, your connection to Tesla. Just gives you a state there of all that side of things. So you can do a couple of tests there, but we're not going to bother with that. Driver assist. This shows you cameras and things here. What I did notice, let me just see here. This is just the cameras giving you the state. So if they were unplugged, it would show up as an issue. This is where you can do some damage here. You can clear your camera calibration. You've got a camera preview here, which it's going to give you a bit more of a view here, a bit more of a service view of the cameras. It's showing you their alignment, and this is all to do with the calibration. So I'd suggest just don't worry about touching any of that. Sensors. So you can see my car is still showing a radar at the front. So it's plugged in, but it's just not used. So it's plugged in and its status is okay. It's giving a feedback that there is a connection there. GPS antenna, I'm in my garage, so it obviously hasn't got any satellites picked up, but if I was sitting outside, you could just make sure it was picking up satellites there and it would show you there. So this is all just helping you diagnose faults with the car. So there's not much else different here. We can do a touchscreen check. So you can look for little dead spots in your touchscreen. If you have any doubts there, you can jump in here, or we can just do little presses. Now to get out of there, it's just a matter of pressing either side of the screen like this, out to an extremity, either corner. That's not working. That's the changes in service mode. So to get out of service mode, we do that. Let's see if Spotify is playing the game with us. Yep, okay, so here it's just a little bit different. It's not a major change. So we have favorites, the best. Okay, so here in Spotify, we just have now home, browse, and this is where you can look at different sort of preset playlists. And then you have your library. So if we go into, say we go here, just go into this playlist. This is the other thing that's changed here. So playlist now can display more than just 100. So you can go a lot further than 100 songs, and it'll actually go to a next page. And you can see here that there's a few more extra little icons here, a bit more information, just a basic layout change. So we can just add things to our favorites or to our library, just with a quick press there now. You weren't able to do that before within a playlist like this. You had to actually do it over here on the media player. So yeah, not much has changed there. I was just hoping it would then give us cues, that we could just add things to a queue, but you can't really do that with this update. So that hasn't really changed. I'm pretty disappointed that they didn't do that, but hopefully this is the start of now this new version of Spotify, and they're just going to make little small incremental changes to it. Hopefully it's a bit more reliable. You saw before it was super slow. I don't know if that's just to do with my MCU2 or whether we'll see how it compares in the Model Y when I get that with the Ryzen chip. We'll see if this is any quicker connectivity wise. Just see if I notice any changes there. So I think that's really it. I can't really, there's not really anything else here. I mean, the search screen hasn't really changed that much. It's not a massive change to Spotify. I just don't know. You were supposed to, it looks very similar to me. And just other than that, when you're in those playlists, you know, it's not much different at all. Here we can look at this one again. Everything's just a little bit of a different layout. So I don't know. I think it's designed so you're not scrolling sideways a lot. So now you can see they've got the popular songs of the artist here now. That used to be a pain. It would only sort of show you a few songs and you had to scroll sideways, whereas this is now all in the one screen. I haven't had that long with it. Maybe there's some other changes here I'm not seeing. Guys, feel free to comment if you're noticing any differences. Okay, one thing I forgot to show you there with Spotify was you can now access audiobooks. So this one is just a Spotify audiobook playlist, just random I was able to find. So here it has audiobooks, so I don't know, it's just a random thing, Mortal Engines. This was just a random thing that came up when I searched, just so I could show you. So you weren't able to access audiobooks. So if you've got some audiobooks you listen to on Spotify, well, you can now listen to them in the car instead of having to connect your phone via Bluetooth and do it that way. So that's quite handy. I do listen to some audiobooks and podcasts. So I mainly use Spotify for podcasts and music, but now I could use it for audiobooks. So that is quite a pretty good update there with Spotify. Okay, I'll have to eat my words with the Spotify update. Every time I go in here, I find something that has improved. So you can see here with podcasts. Now, I enjoy listening to podcasts to and from work, and the layout here has changed. Now, one thing I didn't like about Spotify was the fact that it was really hard to tell what podcasts you had actually watched and ones you hadn't. So, you know, at least now I can look here and it's got a completion bar. So you can see how much you have left. So that one had 7 minutes left. So I've obviously watched that, and that's just the ads at the end. So yeah, that's pretty good. And it gives a bit more of a blurb of each episode. So yeah, that's pretty impressive. Also too, on phone calls, it's supposed to now lower the fan speed while you're on a phone call. And I haven't really noticed that. I just leave the fan on low anyway and on auto. And look, I didn't, it's not a noticeable difference. I think maybe if you had your fan up on like medium, you might notice it put it down to low. But I just keep my fan on low most of the time anyway. So that's not something I've noticed. So here I've got my Bluetooth controller. We go to connect phone, and then we want to add new device. And I will put this controller into pairing mode, and you say start search. The controller comes up here. Click on add device. That's now connected. So I tested it out before, and that controller now does work when you go into a game in arcade. Play the game. It needs to be a game that requires a controller. And you can see here now that it's showing that there is a Bluetooth controller connected, and we can play that game. So I don't really play the games too often. I might just play Sudoku or Solitaire or Mahjong while I'm waiting for one of my kids to arrive to the station or something, if I'm picking them up from the train station. But that's about it. That's about the extent. I don't really use the game controller. I'm a bit of a gamer, but I've played Skyforce Reloaded a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really get time to play the games too often when I'm in the car. I mean, that's the one thing you learn. These things charge so fast. I don't really watch Netflix in the car at all either. So you soon realize they charge pretty fast, and you're usually going to the bathroom or the toilet or getting something to eat while the car's charging anyway, and you've barely got enough time to do that. so I don't really get to play the games too much. But that is quite good now. You don't need to worry about connecting. So a lot of the cars now only have a data port in the glove box. This car still has the data port down here in the center console. That's still a data port, so I was able to plug in controllers there directly. So at least now you don't have to store cables as well. You can use a wireless controller, which makes it a bit easier. Say if people are playing the game from the back of the car, that would be a bit easier. And for those of us that run the blind spot camera just here, the navigation directions have now come back to this screen. So these were disappeared and hidden behind here before with a previous update, and they've finally fixed it. It's only taken a few updates, but it's finally fixed now. I'm glad to see that, because I love running my blind spot camera over there instead of either of these two positions. You know, I like to be able to see the visualizations. Okay, so that's really all that I know about. So if you have anything else you've noticed with this update that you'd like to mention, please comment away. That would be great. Thanks for listening to me waffle on again. You know, I don't normally do these software updates, but when there's some things here that I really think are important to show you, then I'll do them. So thanks again for watching, and I will catch you next video.